Today's video is sponsored by Kunai Threads. Whether it's a Blackbeard playmat, a Shanks shirt, or even a Doflamingo pickleball set, they've got you covered. Use code JohnnyTCG and hit the link in my bio to get 5% off your entire order. Thank you, Kunai Threads, for sponsoring this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Johnny TCG video. I'm Johnny TCG. I am happy to see you here today. I hope you are doing well. Before we get into the video, before we get into the good Buggy spice, I just wanted to say thank you because recently we've been getting a lot of subscribers. We've been getting a lot of positive comments, and I've just got to say that means a lot. It helps the channel grow, and I appreciate it. So thank you. We do have 3 things on the schedule today. First, a deep deck profile. Second, a giveaway. We've always got a giveaway on the channel, just about always. But we've got a giveaway with a custom Don card. You're going to want to see that. And then, of course, we're going to have games on the sim. Who doesn't love games on the sim? You're going to want to check that out. And yeah, let's talk about Buggy. When I heard that Buggy was finally going to get a leader card in OP09, I was so excited. This is one of my favorite characters. I even cosplayed him at Otakon this year. Editor, throw that on screen. And when his leader ability was revealed, it actually seemed like he was going to be really good. Being able to rest 5 Don and trash a card from hand to cheat out a cross-skilled character with no cost restriction is really strong. Unfortunately, as time went on, we kind of realized that the support isn't quite there yet. The 10 cost boss Buggy that we were really excited about isn't actually amazing in a lot of circumstances. It's not that he's not a strong card, he can be a strong card, it's just that the circumstances with the current support to get him to fully utilize his effect is kind of difficult to play out sometimes. So we're still kind of in the Buggy waiting room. There are some promos that hopefully will come out in the West that have already come out in the East that are pretty strong. I will talk about those later. Until the meantime, this is what we're working with. For those that don't know, Buggy is a mono blue 5 life leader, 5000 power, the typical. He's got the 4 Emperors and cross skilled typing. With the ability of activate main, you may rest 5 Don and trash 1 card from your hand, then play up to 1 cross skilled character from your hand to the field. Pretty solid, very solid actually. It's just all about the support you have and the cards that you have in your hand. We're mostly going to use this ability to cheat out 6 and 7 cost bodies. Besides the 2 6 and 7 cost bodies, the only other body you're really going to cheat out is the 10 cost Buggy, but we'll talk more about him in a minute. When this deck works, it feels really good, but unfortunately it's just a little bit of a struggle so far. Maybe it's just me though. Maybe there are some Buggy chads in the comments that are really good with this leader, and I would love to hear your feedback down below on tips and how you've been doing with it. I just net decked this deck list today. I forget if it was Twitter or One Piece top decks, but moral of the story is I found this list, I wanted to give it a shot, and we'll talk about it. I definitely don't think it's perfect, but I do think it can be fun to play, so let's get right into it. First up, we have Mr. 1 Daz Bones, 4 copies of this card from EBL1, a 5 cost 6000 power with 1000 counter. He is mostly going to be used to play out with 7 cost Crocodile. When we talk about him, he gets to cheat out another body, and Mr. 1 Daz Bones is a pretty good option. He's got 2 abilities. The first one does not work with our leader because your leader has to be Baroque Works type, but his second one is just a draw 2 trash 1 upon play. That's solid. It gives you card advantage and it lets you cycle your hand. Card advantage is really important for this deck because you have to trash a card from hand to use leader ability. Next we have 2 Charlotte Puddings, the card that everybody loves and nobody hates. I don't think I've ever heard someone complain about this card ever. That's sarcasm, ladies and gentlemen. What she does is force your opponent to shuffle all their cards back into their deck and then draw 5 cards. If they're really accumulating a big hand size, this is the perfect card to play out, set them back to 5, and really kind of screwed them over. She's definitely not crucial for our strategy though to achieve full maximization of our leader ability, and so that's why I think 2 is a fair number for her. Next we have 2 Jozu, 6 cost, 7000 power, 1000 counter. This card's great. A lot of people play him in Dofi. His on play is that you bounce back one of your own characters to your hand and then bounce back one of your opponent's 6 cost characters. This is something that is really good on curve, especially if your opponent just has maybe 1 character on the field that's a relative threat. Now, if your opponent plays down a Luffy Taro and a Sangoro, it's good to bounce back that Sangoro, but you're still going to have to deal with that Luffy Taro, and so that can be troubling sometimes. He's not always going to be the best play available because you have other cards that you would probably be better off playing or using leader ability for, but solid. So we got 4 of the 5 cost 6000 power Alvidas 1000 counter from OP09. She's got the on KO effect of if your leader has the cross skill typing, you may play 1 5 cost character from your hand, That seems really strong, but at least in my testing, I never really felt like I was really utilizing this ability. Unfortunately, it feels like a lot of decks in the meta can get around this ability, and she's not your ideal play off a Crocodile, at least in my opinion, so I often felt like I was just using her as a 1k counter. This is definitely a card I would consider maybe cutting. Next up, we have 4 of the 5 cost 5000 power Cabbagey, another OP09 card. What we really like about him is the fact that he has 2000 counter. He does have the ability that if you have emoji or a Buggy character in play, he can't be KO'd in battle, which is really good. But again, this deck doesn't have a lot of 2Ks, so I felt myself keeping him in hand for the most part because I wanted to utilize him as a 2K. Overall, one way I think this deck list could be improved is more 2Ks. Next, we have 4 of the 7 cost 7000 power Crocodile super rare from OP09. 1000 counter on this card is a nice bonus as well. This card is so strong and one of your best cards to cheat out using leader ability. On 5 Dawn, rest 5 Dawn, trash 1 card from your hand. You can cheat out this card along with maybe another Mr. One Daz Bones, another 7000 power character. That's huge. 5 Dawn for 2 7,000 characters is really strong. Hopefully you can pull that off. If you don't have him in hand and you can't play him out early, it does feel bad though. Next, we've got another one of the really strong cards in this deck, and that is 6 cost 7,000 power Dracule Mihawk. This super rare is a blocker, which if you can cheat it out on 5 Dawn, having a 7,000 power blocker when your opponent's probably going to be at 6 or 7 or 8 Dawn is going to be really helpful. He also has the on-play ability of drawing 2, trashing 1. This goes along perfectly with our plan of drawing cards and then also cycling. We need to draw cards to make up for the fact that we're trashing them with our leader ability. Crocodile and Mihawk definitely have to be ran at 4 of, in my opinion. Next, we've got the man, the myth, the legend himself, Buggy the Clown. 10 cost, 12,000 power. Really strong, especially since you can cheat it out for 5 Dawn using leader ability. Unfortunately, he's got a weird on-play ability. On play, you may bottom deck one of your opponent's characters. That's very strong. But if you do not control 5 cost or higher characters, you also have to bottom deck him as well. So if everything goes according to game plan, you will have 4 other 5 cost characters out when you play him, and then he can stick to the board. But if things don't go according to plan, you might just end up playing him out as an emergency Gum Gum Red Rock. It feels really weird seeing a 10 cost body that's not super rare or secret rare. Hopefully we get more boss monsters for this typing, just because this leader ability does have potential. It's just, this is not really the best top end in the game. Next, we have 4 5 cost 5000 power emojis, a 2k counter, which is mostly what it's going to be used for in this deck. Unfortunately, his on play doesn't really work in this deck because we're not running Richie. His on play is look at the top 5 for a Richie, then play 1 Richie from your hand. Now, there is a Richie blocker, which I'll talk about just in a moment in the honorable mention section, but this deck isn't running him. I think this deck should run him, and we'd probably cut Alvida down to 2 or Mr. One Daz Bones down to 2 just so we could fit 2 in there, because I think a chump blocker would be pretty nice. Chump blockers aren't ideal for this game plan, but at the same time, sometimes you just need a little chump blocker to stay alive an extra turn or 2. Next, we've got OP09 Mr. One Daz Bones, 5 cost, 7,000 power, 1,000 counter. This guy was a beast in the 2nd anniversary OP09 pre-release tournament. If you know, you know. This guy is the best card to cheat out with Crocodile using leader ability, 2 7,000 power bodies. I already said it, it's really strong. I don't really have much more to say about him. Now let's talk about card draw. Our last character is Mr. 3 Galdino, a typical 1 cost 2,000 power searcher. Looking at the top 4 for a Baroque Works or cross guild type character, he's got 1000 counter and he is very nice to see on turn 1. This deck runs 4 Sanji's Pilaf, which seems like a lot to me. A 3 cost event that allows you to draw 2 cards. This is good on your 3 or 4 Dom play, just because you don't really have any other 3 or 4 Dom plays. And getting card advantage is really good so that you can spam leader ability, but 4 does seem like a lot. I'd probably cut this down to 3. Next, we're running 2 Gravity Blade Raging Tigers, 7 cost, bottom deck 2 of your opponent's 6 cost or less characters. That is really strong. It does put us back a little bit from not using our leader ability and not cheating out bigger bodies, but in certain situations, this is going to be absolutely crucial. I think 2 is a fair number. Last but not least, we have the Cross Guild Event Searcher, a typical 1 cost event where you're looking at the top 4 cards of your deck and then choosing 1 Cross Guild type card. It can even include the Cross Guild card itself, which is pretty interesting, and then it has the trigger, which we love to see out of life. Now, I do have some honorable mentions for this deck. First, we have Mr. Tube on Clay, which is simply a 5 cost 5000 power character. Mostly we want him because he's a 2k. He is former Baroque Works type, so he could be cheated out with Crocodile, which is pretty handy, but mostly I feel like this deck could use more 2Ks, and so He seems like a decent choice. Then we have Richie, a 2-cost 2000 power blocker. Nothing too crazy here, I just think 2 of would be pretty solid in this deck. Now, in the next section, some of you may know that Buggy got a lot of promos in Japan that we have not seen yet in the West. These cards are pretty strong and I think will likely be must plays in the new iterations of this deck once these promos come to the West, if they ever do. Starting off, we have the 4-cost 5000 power Dracule Mihawk with 1000 counter. He's got the ability of activate main, you may return this card to the bottom of your deck. Then if you have 3 or more cross guild type characters, you may play a 5-cost cross guild type character from your hand. This card isn't the best out of the promos, but definitely has some functionality. Next, we have a 5-cost 7000 power Crocodile. We like that stat line. He's got the on play of if your leader has cross guild or Baroque works, place up to one of your opponent's characters with a power of 2000 or less at the bottom of their deck. A little bit of a weird on play as it doesn't look at cost but instead power, and 2000 isn't really that strong. But again, it's a 5/7 body. That effect could come in handy, and I definitely think this will probably be played in some of the upcoming Buggy lists once this new support comes out. Last but not least, we have the Dofi Killer himself, 7-cost 8000 power Buggy. First of all, the artwork. Just take a moment to appreciate that. Then he cannot attack, which is unfortunate because he's 8000 power, but he does have another effect that is quite interesting, and that is if he's on the field, it prevents all cost 3 or 4 characters from attacking. That is crazy stuff, ladies and gentlemen. If you can get this down against a Dofi and they do not run Red Rock, things are going to be pretty tough for them. He's also able to cheat out a cost 6 or less cross guild type character from your hand when you play him as well. So again, using leader ability to get a 7-cost out and then a potentially 6-cost out is so strong. This deck needs this card, ladies and gentlemen. This deck will get a lot better once this card is introduced. Bandai, give it to us already. If you have any suggestions for this deck list, definitely let me know. I don't think it's perfect, but I think it's a great starting spot, and if you just want to try the deck out and mess around on the sim, then go for it. Now let's get into a giveaway. If you're new to the channel, we do a giveaway in just about every video. Today we're going to be giving away a silly one, and that is my Money Sonic Don. Throw it up on screen, editor. Boom. I drew this myself. It is a meme, but it does have aura. Tell me I'm lying. All you have to win this Money Sonic Don is 1, leave a like, and 2, leave a comment. It's as simple as that. I'll randomly choose one commenter and send it to them for free. US only. It's as simple as that. Like, comment, you're entered into the giveaway. Who doesn't want a free custom Don? And if you feel so inclined, you want to help out the channel, you enjoy the content and don't want to miss any of it, consider hitting that subscribe button down below. It helps out the channel a ton. I really appreciate, and I'll love you forever. Maybe that's dramatic. That's enough of me yapping though. Roll the gameplay, editor. For our first game of the day, I've got some off-meta spice for you. We're going to be playing against a OP09 blue-green Don Quixote Rosinante. You never see this leader, and this is definitely not a matchup you see every day. We're going to be on the odd curve, and we are going to take the Mr. 1 Daz Bones off of our Mr. 3 Gaudino search. Next turn we'll be at 3 Don. We'll likely just do a cross guild search and another Mr. 3 Gaudino search. These Gaudino searchers will help me swing into their board, like with Jewelry Bonnie, or if they play a sugar. I'll start my turn by swinging 2000 into the Jewelry Bonnie searcher. For those that don't know, Rosinante's leader ability is that he has blocker, so he's able to protect his small bodies early in the game. We are going to play out a cross guild event searcher, find the Dracule Mihawk. That will be very nice to play next turn potentially. Then we'll give 1 Don to our leader and swing 6000 into the Bonnie. They'll let it go, and then so we'll play another Mr. 3 Gaudino search, and this time I actually considered taking the Buggy just because they will have some potential big bodies to play later on in the game. The ones I'm thinking of are 8-cost Useless Captain Kidd, 9-cost Zoro, and even 10-cost Doflamingo. Those are all possible cards we could see, and Buggy will be the perfect way to remove them. They're going to play down the 2-cost Rosinante blocker and just swing 7,000 into my Mr. 3 Gaudino. That I've got to let go. I would not dare counter out of that. They can definitely have that. Now we're going to start with the 5,000 swing with our leader into their leader. They will likely counter out of this, and they do with the Jewelry Bonnie from OP07. Now we're going to use leader ability. I'm debating between playing Mihawk or Croc. I decide I am going to go with the Croc just because it allows me to go wide, and I think it'll be hard for my opponent to deal with those 2 big bodies. so early on in the game. Next turn I could play Mihawk potentially and get some card advantage, draw 2, trash 1. We love that play. They've got 6 Don to work with, and they are going to play out a Carrot for 5 Don. I have no characters that are rested, so they can't take advantage of her on playability, but that will be a good card moving forward in the game. We do get the Cross Guild Searcher trigger, and I'm thinking we take another 10 cost Buggy, just because they will get some big bodies soon, and that could be helpful. I don't have a lot of counter in my hand, so that is a little bit sketchy, but I don't know. I'm not too scared about the current board right now. We're going to start off with another Cross Guild Search. This deck works so well when you're able to continuously draw cards and find the cards you need. Then we're going to do a 7,000 swing with Mr. 1 into their life. 7,000 at them. I don't imagine they'll counter out of this. They will block it with their Rosinante blocker. Now I think I'm going to do 5,000 with our leader, straight at their face, and they will counter that with another 1k. Now we'll do 7,000 with Crocodile. I am feeling pretty good right now. We are definitely taking a offensive position and putting a lot of pressure on them. For 6 down, we'll play the Dracula Mihawk down. We are not going to use leader ability, which would have gotten it out for 1 Don cheaper, but it would have cost us a card from hand, and I did not feel comfortable giving up a card from hand. They're going to play down another Carrot and freeze my Crocodile. Now, this is a very interesting board state for them. They're going to be able to freeze my Mr. 1 Daz Bones as well. With this other Carrot, they're going to swing 7,000 into my life. We'll take that and we'll end up with a 2k counter. That's not too bad. For 1 Don, they're going to throw down another Jewelry Bonnie Searcher. Use that to find the Starter Deck 2 Capone Beige trigger, or blocker, pardon me. And they won't even swing with their leader because I could just free block it with our Dracula Mihawk blocker. Now back to us. We're going to start off with the 2,000 swing into Jewelry Bonnie with our Mr. 3, and that is a successful hit. I'm debating on how I want to go about clearing their board a little bit. Ideally, I can get both of these Carrots off the board. I'm going to do 7,000 at the rested Carrot with my leader. I'm thinking that I'll do a Jozu play and pop one of them back to their hand. I'm debating on swinging with our Dracula Mihawk, and we will 7,000 into their 6,000 body. Do they have the 2k for it? They're running low on hand size. They decide to use Rosinante's leader ability and just take the hit instead. That's very interesting. We're going to play down the Jozu, bounce back a Mr. 3, bounce their Carrot, and now we'll play out the Mr. 3 again to do another search, and we'll take a 5 cost 5,000 power Cabbagey. This is mostly just because it's a 2k. Our hand is stacked with 2ks, and we'll likely be able to pull off the Buggy combo next turn, so I think we are in an amazing position right now. They're going to start with a 6,000 swing into likely my leader. It can really only be my leader, and freeze my Crocodile. We will give them a 2k. We've got so many cards in hand that we might as well get some value out of them. I don't know if they run Pudding or not, but I might as well just keep our life a little bit healthy. You never know what they drop next. They could run the 9 cost Zoro that can swing 3 times. That would be rough for us to deal with. They don't have the 9 cost Zoro, but they do have the 10 cost Doflamingo. They'll be able to freeze Mr. 1, Mihawk, and our leader. 5,000 at us with their leader. We will just give them a 1k Crocodile. I don't think I'll need that card anymore. While this is a great card for them to play, we are still in a very good spot. I'm going to swing with my Jozu for 7,000. I consider clearing the Carrot, but then I decide I don't really need to clear the Carrot to win this game. I am in a great position. That Carrot's not going to do a ton of damage to me. I should just pressure life right now and get closer to victory. 7,000 at them. They're going to give us a 2k baby 5 and imagine another 1k. They've got another OP09 Jewelry Bonnie 1k to give. Now, I was debating on just playing the Buggy out for 10, but I decided to give 5 Don to Mr. 3 and use leader ability to play out Buggy instead, just so I can apply even more pressure to their life. 7,000 now with Mr. 3. It looks like they will have the counter, 2k Scratch Manapoo and a 1k Charlotte Pudding. I am lucky I was able to avoid that Charlotte Pudding this game. Now we're going to play down the Buggy, bottom deck their Doflamingo. We've got a crazy board right now. 10 costs, 12,000 power. Who does not love that Buggy card? It is sometimes hard to pull off, especially before the 7 cost promo Buggy that's exclusive to Japan at the moment is in the West. But when you do pull it off, it is the best feeling ever. Back to them for 5 Don. They do have another Carrot, or I guess it's the Carrot that we originally bounced back to their hand. They're going to freeze our Crocodile. They'll give 3 Don to their other Carrot and swing 9,000 into our Dracula Mihawk, freezing our Mr. 1 Daz Bones. In hindsight, I think I should have countered out of this just to apply even more pressure next turn, but I decided to play conservatively, save my counter, and just let it go. Now they're going to play a Capone Beige, 2 Capone Beiges this turn, 2 blocker setup. That'll be good for them. They might be able to survive an extra turn because of that. Now we're just going to go straight at their life. 5,000 with leader first. They have to block or take it. They take it. Now 7,000 with Jozu. They will block out of that. Now we're going to do 12,000 with Buggy. And I think there's an argument to be made that I should have played my other Buggy first so that I could bounce the beige and swing 12,000 into life, being a guaranteed hit. But I decided just to play the Buggy to pop the carrot. I didn't really mind too much having to delay a little bit longer. I think we're still in really good shape. They've got the 10 cost Doflamingo to answer us back with, but that's not going to be enough. Now they're going to swing 6,000 into our life. We are just going to give them the 2K Cabbagey, keeping our life healthy because you never know what could happen. They could throw down a Hody Jones or something and, I don't know, catch me off guard. Now it's simple math. We're going to go 7 with our Buggy, and then we can go 12 with our character Buggy, and they just concede. That is GG's. Gotta love playing off meta matches. They are a nice change of pace from all the meta matches you see on the sim. Our next game is going to be against a OP09 Nico Robin, purple and yellow leader. This is actually going to be a little bit awkward for me. You know, I don't think that we're in a great position to counter this Robin. We don't run a lot of blockers, which would be very helpful against her. And I'm nervous she's going to ramp into some big bodies that I just won't be able to compete with at the end of the game when they've got 9 cost Yamato, 9 cost Luffy, 10 cost Ace, and I've just got a bunch of 5 and 6 cost bodies. On their first turn, they're going to play down the Trafalgar Law Searcher and get the OP09 Rush Sanji. That card is so strong. We've got 3 Don to work with, and we're going to start off with a Cross Guild Event Searcher. We do find that 10 drop Buggy. That could be very helpful against getting rid of one of their big bodies. Now we're going to do 7,000 at them. They take it, no trigger. We love to see that. We can just pass it back to them. With 4 Don to work with, they are going to start off with a 6,000 power leader swing into us. We will give them the 2K counter. Then they're going to do a 5,000 swing with Trafalgar Law, just giving 3 Don to him, and I will take that. We don't get anything special. We get the Mr. 1 Daz Bones from EBO1. We're going to swing 5,000 into the Trafalgar Law just to clear it off the board so we don't have to deal with it anymore. And then we will be able to cheat out a 6 cost Mihawk with leader ability. Now, I definitely think that there is an argument to be made that I should have cheated out Crocodile and Mr. 1 Daz Bones so I could get 2 bodies. My logic here is that the Mihawk will be a decent sized blocker that they won't be able to get around, and that's exactly what happens. They play a 6 cost body, and I've got the blocker for it, so I can just free block. I almost forget and let it go through or counter. This 6 cost Zoro is actually going to be quite awkward, and I think in hindsight, maybe I should have played the Buggy down using leader ability just to pop it, because double banish between their leader and this character is going to be so annoying to deal with. I really have to think about what I want to do here. The Crocodile Daz Bones combo is really strong, but does it protect me next turn? I'm giving out 2 cards from hand, 2 cards with counter as well. That feels bad. I think I'm going to start off with a 7,000 swing with my leader. Using leader ability, I might cheat out the Croc and the Daz Bones. I also can do a pudding play here. They're going to be at 9 cards in hand, which a pudding would go so hard. I'm wondering if maybe I should have waited to do the pudding until after I establish the Daz Bones Croc, but we are going to do it right now and hit them with the reshuffle, draw 5 cards. That is great for us, but it does feel bad not establishing any big bodies. We do have a Mr. 1 Galdino to play out. We were hoping to find a 2K, but alas, we only get the 1K Alvida. Crocodile wouldn't have been too bad as it's another blocker, but I think having counter is more important in this situation. 9,000 with the Zoro. They banish a Sanji's Pilaf. That is devastating. I think if I got that Sanji's Pilaf, it really could have changed the entire trajectory of the game, just because I'd be able to get 2 more cards. That's potentially more counter. That's potentially more answers to deal with their characters and board. That feels so bad. Now I really want to clear this Zoro, but I'm not exactly sure the best way to do it. I could really just load up Don on my Mihawk and swing into the Zoro. That feels bad though. We're going to do 9,000 into the Zoro with our leader. They are going to have a 2K, 1K to save it. That feels bad. For 5 Don, I think I should have done the 10 cost Buggy just to pop that Zoro. It's way too strong. It's getting a ton of value and I cannot compete with it. Instead, I go with the Crocodile, Mr. 1, Daz Bones. Now, hypothetically, next turn, I would be able to do the Buggy combo and leave the Buggy on the field. Unfortunately, that no longer is an option because they have the 5 cost Nami to pop my Mr. 1, Daz Bones. They're going to swing 9,000 with Zoro into my life, and I will block that with Mihawk. I really do not want to deal with another banish. Now they're going to swing 7,000 at us with their leader, and we will counter out of that with a 2k, 1k. I was hoping they weren't going to swing with it, but they do swing with their Jewelry Bonnie as well. I take that hit, and since I take it, they do get to use Bonnie's ability of drawing 2, trashing 1. They trash another banish Zoro, and I think this is going to be game for us, ladies and gentlemen. There's just no way we're going to be able to deal with their entire board unless they're really bricked up in their hand. They're going to be able to defend it, and I'm just going to be cooked. They let the Jewelry Bonnie go from my pudding swing. That either means that they have no counter in hand, or what counter they have in hand, they are saving it to try and keep this Zoro alive. We're going to do a 7-on-7 to the Zoro, and in hindsight, I think this is just like a bad decision. I think my rationale was that maybe they let it go and then I can play Buggy down for 10 and not have to trash a card from hand. Because my hand size is so low, using my leader ability feels really bad. I cannot spare the cards, but I gotta do what I gotta do. Now we're gonna swing 10,000 with our leader into the Zoro. Do they have 4,000 counter? They do not. Now we will use leader ability to play out a Buggy, pop the Nami, and now we're in a little bit better of a position, but still not a great position. We've only got 1 2k in our hand. They do have this 7-cost Rush Sanji. That is a beast. I wonder if they're going to clear my board or just put me in lethal range. They are going to swing 5,000 at the pudding. That makes sense to me. I mean, I could hypothetically save it, but I'd rather save that counter for something else. I gotta be honest with you though, folks. I think I am just cooked in this game. I can swing big into this Sanji right here with my leader, but I don't really think that's gonna save me the game. I'm forced to make the decision of how big I want to swing into the Sanji, just because I also have that Jozu down, and I feel like I need another body if I really want to contend for game. But if I don't use that Don on Buggy, there's no way I'm going to be able to clear this Sanji. I'm going to swing 8,000 at it, but that was futile. We'll play down Jozu, bounce back Mr. 3, and then I guess we'll take the Dracula Mihawk, but I know this game's kind of over. I put it on 1.5 speed just so that we can get to the end, you know. I'm really surprised they haven't really seen any top end in this match so far. No Ace, no Luffy, no Yamato. 7,000 at me here with their leader, Banish. I can't do anything about that. I gotta let it go. Now 7,000 at me with Sanji. Can't do anything about that. Gotta take the hit. Now we're down to 0 life. They've got 3 Don up. Probably they have a Gum Gum Giant, which that card is just so strong, especially now. They've got a blocker up. I'm going to swing 8,000 into the Sanji. It really doesn't matter where I swing. Either way, I only had 3 attacks this turn, and with no way to remove their kid blocker, I was just doomed. So GG's. I wish it could have went differently, but alas, Robin is a solid leader. Now we've got a game against Purple Luffy from OP09. Who does not love Purple Luffy? We are going to keep this opening hand. Unfortunately, they do have the odd curve. Purple Luffy loves the odd curve. We're going to play down a Mr. 3 Galdino for 1 Don, find the Cabbagey, just a 2k really, and then pass to them. We do have a pudding in hand. They might get hit with a pudding at some point. They're going to use their leader ability but not play anything out. I wonder if they didn't have anything to play out, which really hurts them. That makes me feel pretty good about the fact that they were not able to really develop anything this turn. It'll take some pressure off of us at least. We're going to start off with a 5,000 swing from our leader. If they take this, I might consider playing down a pudding. They do not, and now we're just going to throw 4 down on Mr. 3 Galdino and swing 6,000 at them. Buggy doesn't usually have any great turn 2 plays, so that's what we're stuck with. Of course, Sanji's peel-off isn't bad for 3 Don, but in this current meta, I don't think that's an ideal turn 2 play. A lot of other decks have much stronger turn 2 plays. They're going to start off with a 5,000 swing into our leader. We will give them the 1k. Then, unfortunately, they do have the Luffy Taro into Sangoro. I do not have any way of removing this Sangoro besides using Buggy this turn, which is pretty unfortunate because that means they will get some value from it. That card draw every turn is so nice. They're going to start off the turn with the Sangoro swing, 6,000, and I think I should 2k out of this. I did establish the Croc and Mr. 1 Daz Bones, which will be helpful in going at their board this next turn, but dropping another Luffy Taro is really rough. There's not really much I can do to contend with this board. I think a Gravity Blade Raging Tiger would have been really helpful here. Now I'm kind of debating what I want to do. A Jozu might be nice. Maybe popping back the Mr. 3 Galdino to my hand and then popping back one of their Sangoros. We could also be really crazy, establish another Mr. 1 Bones and another Crocodile using leader ability. That would be pretty cool. And then potentially successfully getting the 10 cost Buggy effect to stick next turn. We're just going to pressure life a little bit, get them down to 1, even though we are definitely in danger of losing this next turn on the clapback. I really think that's just my best bet for winning right here, though. I don't think I really have a shot to contend board for board with them. They're going to start out their turn by swinging 9,000 into my Crocodile. My thought process was that I wanted to keep that counter to help keep my life healthy, but at the same time, I did have a big board presence right there, and I think I should have tried to keep those alive just so that I could really pressure them next turn. Now I'm not going to have much pressure to put on their life, and that just feels bad, man. They're going to swing into my Bones as well, and I'll have to let that go. Or I don't have to. I chose to. Why did I choose to, ladies and gentlemen? For 1 Don, they're going to play down the Trafalgar Law. They find an Usohachi 2K from starter deck 18. We don't love to see that. They'll swing 5,000 at our life. We'll give them the 1K Mr. 1 Bones. And then they've got a 5-cost Eustace Captain Kid blocker on the field. Now I kind of have to debate what I want to do. I don't think I will be able to put enough pressure on their life this turn. They've got so many cards in hand. Where is my pudding when I need it? I could remove this Eustace Captain Kid blocker using leader ability and Buggy. That might be my best bet just because I don't have a ton of other options. I could develop a little bit of a board with another Crocodile and Mr. 1 Bones, but I do not think the counter in my hand will carry me enough to survive the next turn. We're just going to start off with a 5,000 swing into their leader, hoping that they free block with Eustace Captain Kid. I think that would be best case scenario for me. Unfortunately, they do not free block with Eustace Captain Kid. They do not want to rest the kid so that I can swing big with the Jozu. Now I'm kind of left with a little bit of a decision, a big decision that could determine the fate of the game. With the amount of cards they have in hand, though, I don't think there is a high chance that the 12,000 power swing I'm about to swing with Jozu will actually succeed, but I've got to try. It's my best chance at victory. Hopefully that 1 Don left up for Gum Gum Giant is actually a fake out, a bluff. They are going to counter a bunch. They've got all the counter, and we will pass to them. They had all the answers, folks. Now the question is, can I survive this turn? The answer to that is not very likely. We will be able to get out of a 7,000 swing with Sangoro, though. Unfortunately, they just have too many bodies on board. We're not going to be able to survive all of these. We do get the cross guild trigger, but unfortunately, our search comes up fruitless when it comes to counter. If we did have a 2K, though, we would be in a little bit of a good spot, but they could always just throw it all on Trafalgar Law too. So they did have the extra swing. 13,000 at us. We can't get there. Ladies and gentlemen, I failed you yet again. We've lost 2 in a row now. I am just not cooking with this leader. Some games he feels really good if you can get the right circumstances and combination of getting big bodies out and then dropping 10 cost Buggy and letting it stay on board. But if you fall behind and cannot dominate the board, you're going to be in for a long day. They're going to start off their turn by playing a 1-drop Nami, finding the Zorojuro, 3 down for us, and we're going to go the Sanji's Pilaf to draw 2 cards. Not putting any pressure on them that turn does feel bad, but I think getting 2 more cards will be great for us. Now we've got 5 down to work with. I don't like the idea of not swinging with leader again, but cheating out a 7 down Crocodile with a 5 cost, potentially Cabbagey, sounds pretty good. We decide to go with the Searcher, Mr. 3 Gaudino. We'll take a Mr. 1 Bones. That'll pair nicely with the Crocodile. And then we're going to probably swing 6 and then maybe play another Sanji's Pilaf. That might be a little bit dramatic, and I don't know. Let me know what you think about that down in the comments below. I mean, if I had a Dracula Mihawk would have come in clutch this past turn just because he would have given me that card draw and he would have been a big body that would also have been a blocker. They're going to go 4 Don for Mr. Tuban Clay, ramp a Don as active. Then they get Zorojuro, 4,000 swing into me, ramp another Don as active. So now they've got 4 Don to work with. They're going to be at 8 Don. They could use leader ability 2 after this. Man, that feels bad. 4,000 into 5,000, of course, doesn't hit. But what are they going to do? They'll use leader ability to get to 5 Don. And what do they got for us? They've got the 5-cost Queen from starter deck 4. They have definitely come out the gate pretty hot. And unfortunately, I don't know if we're going to be able to come back from this. The Sanji's Pilaf play last turn probably wasn't the right move. I think I probably should have done the Croc, but we're going to play down Jozu, bounce back Mr. 3, and then bounce back their Queen. Then we're going to swing 6,000 with our leader. That was actually a misclick. I meant to do Gravity Blade Raging Tiger to bottom deck the Bon Clay and the Queen. The reason I really wanted to do the Gravity Blade Raging Tiger is because now that Bon Clay can copy my Jozu. And so, yeah, I swear I wasn't just asleep at the wheel. I just misclicked. I meant to do Gravity Blade Raging Tiger. Unfortunately, now we have to pay the price. 7,000 with their leader into us. We will counter out of that. Now 7,000 with Mr. 2 Bon Clay. That feels bad, but we do get the lucky trigger. Now I'm thinking we take a Mr. 1 Daz Bones off that or a Crocodile. It doesn't really matter too much. Either or will probably be used as a 1K. Then for 9 Don, they do have the 9 cost Luffy, and they are going to be able to put us down to 2 life. We are not in a good situation right now, folks. This deck really feels bad when you cannot establish a board early, and I failed to do that when I had my chance. I'm still learning this deck, though. I want to like it more. I mean, I do like it. I just want to get better with it, you know? I'm sure you've probably felt that way about a deck in the past where you're like, I really like this, but I just am not great with it. We're learning, though. That's the whole point, is to try different leaders, learn them, see what we can cook with them. We're going to go with the Mr. 3 Galdino search, find something that we can use. The Buggy might be helpful just because it'll allow us to pop something, but we do want the 2K, so that's what we decide to choose. We've got another Mr. 3 Galdino search, and we do get the Cross Guild Searcher event. That is not what we're really looking for right now. I am going to pressure life here, give 1 down to Jozu and swing 8,000 at them. They've got a lot of cards in hand too, so it's not like we're really dominating in that area. They do counter out of that, giving us 3K of counter. They still have 3 life. This is not a great feeling right now. In hindsight, I don't agree with this play. I'm going to use the 1 cost event searcher to search up another card, and I'm going to take the Buggy. Then I'm going to use leader ability to play out the, I think Dracula Mihawk's probably my best bet. I do Crocodile and Mr. 1 Daz Bones, as that will provide more offense on the next turn. But really, I think the Dracula Mihawk would have served me better. And I also don't know how much it made sense to use that event searcher and then not play Dracula Mihawk. I think playing Dracula Mihawk just for 6 would have been a better idea. They're going to play down a Queen to start out with, then swing 7,000 in Jozu. I will keep this alive. I really need to keep a board presence. Now they're going to go 10,000 into my life. I'm just going to take that for 4 Don. What else could they have? We are in the position to where we can actually summon 10 cost Buggy for 5 Don and then keep him on the board next turn, or this turn. That is going to be awesome. We are going to start off with a 7,000 swing into their leader with Mr. 1 Daz Bones. Then we're going to have a 7,000 swing from Crocodile. They are going to 2K out of both of those hits. Now another 7,000 swing with Jozu. We are putting on a ton of pressure. I think we're making a comeback, ladies and gentlemen. Get hype, clap your hands, stand on your feet. We're making a comeback. For 5 Don, I'm going to play out the Mr. 2 or Mr. 1 Daz Bones. Then I'm going to use leader ability. I'm thinking I trash a 1K counter Alvida and then play down the 10 cost Buggy. The reason I had to trash a 1K counter there, which does feel a little bit bad, is that the non-counter cards in my hand just are too strong, especially another 10 cost Buggy. If I can chain those back to back, we are going to be in great shape. The thing is that Red Purple Luffy can get aggressive real fast, and we are only at 1 life. Luckily, they do not have 10 cost Gear 5 Luffy. That would hurt really bad. They're going to swing with 8,000 into us, and we definitely got a counter out of this. We have the 2Ks to do it. It does feel a little sketchy going down to only 3K of counter in our hand. They set up another blocker, which is very annoying. I'm going to start off by swinging 7,000 with the Mr. 1 Daz Bones, see how they handled this first hit. And maybe go from there. I've got a ton of different options this turn. I could do another 10 cost Buggy. I could Gravity Blade Raging Tiger 2 of their blockers. I could do a Dracula Mihawk to set up a blocker. I think setting up a blocker is a really good idea, but at the same time, 10 cost Buggy, setting up another one of them will kind of maybe even guarantee me the game next turn. So we're going to swing 7s. They're taking a lot of these. They're keeping their blockers up. They're not sacrificing them yet. Now I'll swing 7,000 with Crocodile, and they will use the Onami blocker. And now is when I am faced with my tough decision. In hindsight, I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is, folks. Let me know in the comments down below. I decided to use Gravity Blade Raging Tiger just because Sanji and Queen will both be threatening attacks next turn. Hypothetically, I could even win here if they did not have that Gum Gum Giant and maybe they were just bluffing it. Unfortunately, they do have the Gum Gum Giant, so they will get out of that 8,000 power swing, and then we'll swing 12,000, which goes through. 1 life left, 3k of counter in hand. I am in a bad spot. They're going to do 7,000 at us, and I can get out of that. And they still could possibly win if they had split up their Don on both of their Namis and done 6, and then they would have been able to do 7 with the other and actually win. In that situation, with the game kind of on the line or over, if you don't win that turn, there's no point of even playing the new gate. They should have just divvied up the math. So technically I win there, but it doesn't feel like an honorable win because there would have been a better way for my opponent to play that last turn. Either way, though, this deck has been a ton of fun, even though it's not the best yet. Maybe once that promo comes out, it'll be a lot better. I mean, not if, when that promo comes out, it does get a lot better, but for now, it's kind of mid. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the games I got for you today. What did you think about them? Unfortunately, I could not really cook with this leader. I tried my best, but alas, it's just not there yet. I don't think it was necessarily a pilot issue at times. I think this leader is just still limited with the amount of support it has. If you have any other leader suggestions, let me know in the comments down below. If you've made it this far in the video, you are a real one. Consider hitting that subscribe button so you never miss an upload. This has been a Johnny TCG video. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Peace. Don't forget to subscribe and like and comment if you want to win the custom Money Sonic Don. Boom, put it in there, editor. All right, now I'm seriously gone. Bye, peace. Subscribe.